In a rather interesting turn of events, Tim Pool, the Beanie Maxer, absolutely destroyed Adam Conover for being a hypocrite.
Why won't you go to the UK and make jokes about Islam?
I don't think it's very funny. I don't have any jokes about it. I'm so confused. Dude.
Okay, let me help unconfuse you. Are there jokes that can be made about Islam? Yes or no?
Wait, I don't
Yes
want
or
to.
no?
I don't want to go to
Are you
this
scared?
particular rabbit
Oh,
hole.
no. You're terrified. You're a hypocrite.
What?
Are there jokes you can make about Islam? Muhammad banged a little girl, right?
He did. Aisha. She was 6 years old, consummated the marriage at 9. That's true. Now, the reason why this is an issue in the first place is because Adam Conover, the Joe Rogan of the left, Adam knows everything, positions himself as a know-it-all, edgy comedian, when in fact he's scared shitless, and there's certain topics that are off the table for him. And they got into an argument about going to a country and then criticizing that very country that you just migrated to. And Tim Pool brings up the fact that Adam will not go to the UK and make jokes about Islam because the UK is cucked for Islam. And that's a fact.
I'm really baffled.
Come on. You're terrified of the subject. I'm not.
No, I'm not.
In the UK, you can be jailed for making jokes about Islam or even bring up the grooming gangs.
That is true. Recently we watched Tommy Robinson. Now, I'm not too well versed on the grooming gangs, but the UK establishment and political scene does not really like to talk about it.
There are people who go online and pointed out that a stabbing was carried out by a Muslim, and they got arrested for it. I'll bet you $1,000 you will not go to the UK and make a joke about any of that stuff. Because you will not go to a foreign country and in violation...
Some priests and kings married young girls in that time also. That's fair. I would also condemn that behavior. But those priests and kings did not create one of the largest, fastest growing religions that governs by Sharia law in 2025. And you can be critical of those kings and people, but you can't in certain contexts depending on where you're located in the world.
Of their laws, speak out against what they've said not to speak out against. Do it. I dare you. $10,000. Cash in your pocket. If you go to the UK...
So Adam Conover is pretending to be naive, and he's playing dumb, and he thinks Tim Pool is crashing out, but he's actually hitting him where it hurts, because he knows that he got him.
And make a joke about Muhammad having a 12-year-old wife.
This we got here faster than I thought we would in this conversation. Where you're shouting at me about something I don't understand. I don't really understand how you would think it's incumbent upon me.
Do you think anybody watching this right now thinks you are confused by the notion that in the UK you go to jail for mocking Islam?
I don't understand how we got onto you shouting at me about Islam specifically. I'd like to return to a point I was trying to make.
You said people should be allowed to come to this country and speak out against it. And you said you're a comedian, and and you go to other countries, right? And you said you go to the UK. And I said, okay, if you go to the UK, speak out.
The thing is, everybody bashes Christianity but can't even touch Islam. That's one of the main points he's highlighting here.
Violation of their laws and see what happens. And you said, I'm confused, I don't understand. What don't you understand? Will you go to Turkey? Will you go to Turkey and speak out against Islam?
I mean, if I have a joke to make, sure. I don't have a joke about those particular topics.
You would.
I would.
You're saying if you had a joke about.
Oh yeah. Sure, I would try to do the best I can. I always try to poke the bear as much as I can. It's part of the job of a comedian.
Nothing to poke the bear about as it pertains to one of the world's largest religions.
There is a fucking long-ass laundry list of shit you could poke the bear at, but nobody wants to.
Come on.
I mean, I haven't written a joke about that recently.
All right.
So look, hey man, I'm a free speech guy, right? I think that something that's nice about America is that we're a country that has that value, and that we don't generally think that you should be tossed into a van and kicked out of the country for expressing an opinion. I think that it is a change.
No right to
I
be
think it's a change in America to most people around the world to feel that, oh, wait, if I go to America and I express a mild opinion about their foreign policy in my own student paper, or maybe on a stage, or maybe somewhere else, I could be, without any warning to me,
That's deflection. He's pussyfooting around.
accosted by 6 people on the street, thrown into a van, and taken out of the country.
Oh, come on,
right?
accosted.
Oh, let me finish.
Don't load the
I think that's a strain. I think that's a new idea for a lot of people, that America is that type of country. I think that Donald Trump's purpose is to
Liberals simp for Islam, which doesn't make any sense because they're completely different values, or should be. This is what we call the Red-Green Alliance. This is coming at it from a Marxist oppressor versus oppressed power structure. This is how a lot of leftoids operate, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Because on paper, having multiple wives, not being able to criticize the faith, which is against free speech, is completely against Western liberal values. So you would be correct. On paper, nothing is in common. But from a oppressed versus oppressor context, lens, they see eye to eye.
turn America into that type of country. I think that that's bad. I think it makes the country smaller. I think it makes the country worse. I think it's a violation of most of the values that I grew up with as an American. And that's my view of what's happening in the country. Now, if you want to say, hey, I don't like free speech for foreign nationals who are...
Listen, you shouldn't be deported if you say something objectionable. Like, that's crazy. That's ludicrous.
in the country who express mild opinions about other countries' foreign wars, then that's your prerogative. It's a big difference between us that you don't like free speech in that way.
I mean, that's loaded language, right?
Yeah, all the language you're using is pretty loaded.
Well, you keep using adjectives to describe things to diminish one thing while exacerbate or exaggerate something else.
I do use the English language to express my thoughts and opinions. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's straw manning. It's not a legitimate attack of the ideas, right? So accosted on the street. Come on. She was arrested. Okay. She was arrested by a relatively large group of men compared to what a normal arrest would require, which I think they didn't need to do and was silly. So we can say she was arrested by several men, unmarked, or plain clothes, which didn't need to happen. But I don't need to say, like, she was accosted by men on the street and, like, it was about a mild opinion. It's like, okay.
This is democracy manifest.
Listen, the facts of the case, like I said, I don't like the idea that people come to this country and then try and tell us how to do, how to live our lives.
You're not for free speech. I understand.
I think American citizens have self-determination. And sovereignty, and I will say this even of the Canadians who keep coming here and they keep getting involved in our politics. I'm friends with some of them, but I think it's fair to say that there is an issue with Canadians, largely conservatives, who come to this country and then start advocating for conservative values in a country they're not from. So, to be fair, there are liberals Canadians who do it too. I find it to be silly. That being said, Canada is a bordering nation with a largely overlapping...
Adam Conover is the definition of peak midwit. I just want to know why he won't go back to the initial criticism.
Culture is a morally different question, but still applies in much the same way principally. So I do take issue with foreigners coming to my country.
It's a nice white country, so we like it.
Canada's they call it what, the most multicultural country in the world, I think. Mm-hmm. They big on immigration.
Now, I've never been to Canada. I have family that live there. They're not native to there, but family. I mean, to one person, but still, that's my only context. So, talking to anyone online about Canada, they're like, dude, Canada has fallen. I don't know how true that is. I guess I gotta go take a trip. Look out for my moose men.
I think Toronto is considered to be the most multicultural city in the world.
Yeah.
So Canada actually is...
Canada is not white at all.
You can call it a nice white country. That's technically the truth, but it also is very, very much in favor of immigration and diversity and all these things, largely what many of the conservatives who come here are speaking out against. But without
it used to be. But a lot of the appeal for Canada is how diverse it is to some people. It's like a melting pot on steroids.
So this is a country where if you're from another country and you're in America, don't say anything about our politics, or you could be forcibly removed from the country. You're comfortable with America being that kind of country.
Marginally.
That's something that's like that's a value of yours. Those are your values.
See, you're doing it again.
No, I'm trying
to
understand what you actually believe.
Yeah, I would say marginally it's a good.
Because I think that's a point of distinction.
It's
like
not just yes
it's
or no.
useful in a conversation like this to be like, okay, I have my value, you have your value, and my value is like I really like it when people say what the fuck they think about any country's politics.
We can simplify it. My value would just be, to whatever mathematical degree, American sovereignty supersedes the right of foreigners to speak about our policies.
But in this case,
But that's just my value.
What is that? Just a black frame on the podcast? Did he just say a slur or something?
in this, so you think that literally any time America is exercising its sovereignty, that's like a good thing in that particular case? Like, because
What does that mean?
like
You're a guest in our...
Mark,
with all due respect, I think I said it like 6-7 times. You're a guest in our country. Adhere to the rules. That's it. That includes conservative Canadians, conservative Brits. That's Carl Benjamin. That's Paul Joseph Watson. That's Viva Fry. That's Seth Rogen. And it's also
okay, so all those people
if they got deported, I'd say, okay.
should not speak about American national interests, in, like the Suez Canal. We shouldn't
While
say,
here on a
the
temporary
Panama
visa.
Canal, or like...
While here on a temporary visa. I understand what he's trying to say, but there's a part of me that is clinging to the soy Adam Conover, where he has a point in that free speech is extremely important. However, if you're proliferating pro-terrorist propaganda, it gets a little dicey. What are we talking about here?
While
is
here on a
Puerto Rico a
conditional
state or not?
visa.
They should not speak about American politics.
You can speak about what you want, but speech has consequences.
I mean,
Doesn't it?
okay, so we can move on. I'll say, to me, that's a radically different America than I thought I grew up in. And I think it's fucked up that we're becoming that kind of country. I think it's really
believe you
bad.
think that's true.
Yeah, you don't believe I think that's true?
Well, I mean, I suppose I
Like
could
what
say,
I just said I believe, you're like, you don't believe that.
Well, because
I saw this interesting tweet. Apparently, Joe Rogan stopped doing his podcast live because of Adam Conover. That was the final straw where he's like, I can't do this live. Like this, no shot.
if we go back several...
To think that Adam Conover has that level of power in his stupidity or midwittery is kind of hilarious.
administrations, that's not been the case ever. I mean, look at New York in the 2000s when the Bush administration rounded people up, and I'm sorry, it wasn't Bush, during the Bush years, and they put 200 people in like a bus. They locked them in a bus cage.
Yeah, that was bad.
That's the country you grew up in. The idea that
and it
these
was
things
bad.
haven't been happening. George Carlin got arrested for swearing. We had blasphemy
and it
laws
was
on the book.
Yeah,
You
and it was
claiming
bad. And then we
Indeed,
said,
and you
we
grew
shouldn't
up in
do that
nation,
anymore.
and it never changed. The idea that you think you grew up in a nation where
This is a hilarious duo. How have I never seen these two go at it before?
say whatever you wanted is an absurdity. George Carlin went to jail for swearing.
And that was good, you think?
No, it
because
wasn't.
you think it's good that Rumesa Öztürk is being
She's
forced to
not
leave
a
the country.
citizen.
So
she's on a conditional visa as conditioned by the INA and the existing administration and the will of the voters.
okay, but you're arguing.
no. My argument
you're
is
arguing that
you said the
Öztürk's
country I
deportation
grew
makes
up
sense
in.
because George Carlin was arrested for swearing.
No, you said I grew up in a country with free speech, and I said no, you did not.
And
it's never been true.
And you're like, okay, you're right. So under your view, America is a country that doesn't have free speech, never had free speech.
Yes!
And that's a good thing.
No!
Because we're exercising our sovereignty.
No.
Okay, but you think it's a good thing that Rumesa Öztürk doesn't have free speech?
And you understand the distinction between a non-citizen here on a conditional visa.
It's conditional free speech. And Tim Pool thinks that if you're a citizen of the country, you should have priority over non-citizens with the length of your free speech, which is kind of funny. But I need to see him unpack this more before I agree.
And an American citizen being arrested for swearing.
I understand that there's a
Very
distinction.
different
I don't think
circumstances.
that either of those people should be treated differently in that case.
Let me say this.
Yeah, I don't agree
This
with you,
country
man.
has never had free speech.
Okay, I
It's
think.
a fact. When the founding fathers finalized the
Do
Constitution,
you think we should have free speech?
yes, but there are limits on what
Okay.
free speech is based on the moral.
Chat, let me ask you. Are you free speech absolutists? Why or why not? And do you agree with the stipulation that when it's a call to violence, then the free speech goes out the window? Because some people would argue that just because it calls for violence doesn't mean you need to act on the violence, and that's a skill issue. Like if your friend asks you to jump off a bridge, are you going to do it, or are you going to think about your actions before you actually do it?
Worldview of the individual argument. For instance, do you believe someone should be allowed to direct someone to commit a violent crime?
That's
Yes or
not
no?
that's not the moral worldview of an argument. That is the effect of the speech. So you think
no,
that
hold
you
on,
think
hold
that
on.
whether you have free speech should be your words should be based
I'm
on the
trying
moral
to-
worldview of the argument.
So
The fucking looking over the glasses with the forehead wrinkles. Holy shit.
to understand
certain
your view of
arguments-
what free speech means, I'm asking you a question. Mm-hmm. If somebody
Dude, the snark is crazy. Yes.
says explicitly, you right now commit crime to that person, is that free speech?
Someone says you right now commit crime to that person, and what do they do it?
Yes.
I mean, I guess I'm not a free speech scholar, but like that is yeah, there's probably be legal consequences for that free speech.
It is illegal to do that. Mm-hmm. Do you think someone should be able to yell fire in a crowded theater?
I mean, this is the canonical example of
Right.
a speech that's not free speech. So
It actually is. That's Brandenburg v. Ohio. It is, in fact, legal speech. I don't think people should. I understand the Supreme Court's ruling on that issue. The challenge with
So you could just troll?
free speech, let's go back to the beginning of this country. Blasphemy laws were on the books after
Advocating for violence should be taken to federal court and deemed a skill issue.
they even had the First Amendment.
so do you so
Like, they literally said you can't blaspheme. We would say that's not free speech, but how did you have a First Amendment if you arrested people for blaspheming? My point
Imagine being arrested for blasphemy. You're a blasphemer.
is,
Bro got blasphemed.
and this is an anarchist philosophy, the laws of the country are dictated by those with the power to enforce it. That's why it used to be illegal to put a pie on your windowsill, but even though it's still illegal, nobody arrests you for it. So free speech does change throughout the generations.
Of course.
We never grew up in an era, we never had a time in our lives where you had true free speech the way the absolutists want it to be.
Yeah, I'm talking about the story that we tell about ourselves as a country, man. I'm talking about
that's not true.
I'm talking about the values that
So I'm so confused here. Do these guys shake hands or hug it out after the podcast? Do they sit here for about 5 minutes and let the dust settle? Or is it like, all right, fuck you, man. I'll see you next week? Like, what? How does this work, bro?
that we that we have collectively as people. And of course those are always changing a little bit and people are trying to pull them in one direction or another.
Split in half.
I would have thought, that like I don't know that much about you. I know you're very involved with Occupy and stuff like that and protest movements, which I think is cool work. I would have
Yeah, it's
thought
cool. That's cool work, bro. Respect.
that like a student
I know you're down with the shits, Tim Pool.
writing an op-ed about another country's war and her own institution's support for it, vis-a-vis our country's foreign policy, would be the kind of thing that you would think is a sort of free speech that we should value. And
Fuck you, Tim. Yeah, go fuck yourself, Adam. See you on Friday for round 2.
that is the kind of free speech that I think I personally think like a lot of the idea of America is built upon. I think it's one of the good things about the country, that this is a country where you can come here and you can express your opinion mildly in the newspaper.
What happened at Kent State?
And it's I think Kent State was bad.
My point is,
I
there's
think
things
it was
we
bad,
wish
man.
America was, but I kind of feel like a non-citizen
But this
getting,
one you
getting
said
deported.
you think is good. You're not sitting here going, man, yeah,
She
that's
got
a bummer.
deported,
She got
dude. What are you
deported.
talking about? She didn't get shot in the face. A conditional visa it was revoked. I'm not crying about it. I don't care.
I mean, I think she cares. I think
That's
her
too
family
fucking
cares. I
bad.
think the people of her university care. I think
Sure.
like
Change the law, man. This is a marginal issue for a single person who was in violation of the INA as it's enforced by a government that was elected by a popular majority, or I should say by a plurality, but the popular vote. So let me pull this up because this is what we were talking about earlier. This is RCP from April 22nd. Every age
Another slur. That's crazy.
bracket, to be fair, 40-49 is a tie, but Real Clear Politics aggregate shows from all of the latest polls.
Schizomaxer versus a midwit. He's steamrolling him, bro. Turning him into bug paste.
70 plus is the only age group that is
They're gonna make cricket bars out of Adam Conover's skin.
a negative view of Trump's job.
okay. I'm just trying to.
This is a popular majority.
I'm just trying to make sense of your position around free speech because you agree with me about all the past things in America that you're talking about. Kent State, you're talking about George Carlin and all these other things, and these were bad abrogations of free speech. And
Indeed, deportation is not a murder. You're going home. I'm giving you a ride home.
But
Well, if you came to my house, I let you in the door. I said, you can hang out tonight. And you started shit-talking my brother. I say, bro, I'm going to give you a ride home. I don't think you should be here. That's not an affront to someone's sovereignty or free speech. It's like the worst thing that happened to you is I gave you a ride home. Oh, I'm going to cry. She's going home. What's the problem? Home's nice. She was here conditionally. We said, hey, we kind of think you're being a dick. We're going to give you a ride home. That's it.
I mean, when I get a ride home,
Kent State,
six
they
guys
shot
don't
people and
normally
killed
shove me into a van, and then my family doesn't know where I am. That's
You know,
know.
how about you're at a bar and you're acting out in some way, and they
Did
say,
you-
listen,
do-
buddy,
do you feel-
security throws you out of the bar.
Do you feel this
gets
woman
you a
was
cab.
acting out? Do you think she was acting inappropriately? Do you think that she was acting?
I've already told you I did not.
Okay,
said-
so then how are you justifying what happened?
I don't
it's
think you can-
legally narrow that it can happen. Therefore, it's good.
I don't
Your
think you know how to
position is incoherent.
separate. I just don't think you know how to comprehend the separation between.
This is literally my friends after 6 or 7 drinks. Well, then you got good friends. At least they can fucking argue with each other. Most people live in bubbles and echo chambers and just get fed the same shit.
I have no issue with a woman making her argument. I think it was absurd to claim she's adhering to Hamas because she's critical of Israel. But her visa is conditional, and it is the authority of these United States and the Secretary of State to revoke that. So it's okay. Right? Trump won the popular vote.
What? But
This is the
sorry,
agenda.
Man.
These are the Greek philosophers of our time.
Sorry, man. This is the hump that I can't get over.
Clearly.
You don't have any problem with what she actually did, right? But Trump,
Marginally, I do, yeah.
Trump and Rubio had the narrow legal ability to do it.
You're not following.
Do you
You're not
agree
following.
with their
I'm kind of not following either, to be honest.
decision to
I do not.
it?
I think there is a net negative to a degree that foreigners come to this country to dictate our politics.
I agree.
Be it Canadian,
I'm sorry,
British,
dictator
British.
politics, or just give their opinion in the newspaper that's dictating?
Let's. I'll turn on the language. To come here and advocate for policies of the American people.
So you feel that foreign nationals of all kinds, when they're in the United States, should never speak about our politics ever,
No.
upon pain of legal punishment. That is a position that you have about America generally.
Did they agree to it?
I
When they,
don't.
when they applied for the visa under the INA, did they agree to those terms?
Did they read the fine text?
I don't know.
The answer is yes, they did. It clearly states when you're coming here on a condition you can't do certain things. It literally says you won't protest. And we still would allow them to hold a sign up or something. But maybe if they didn't,
But,
I'd
but
say-
apparently we don't allow them to hold a
And I
sign.
don't
So-
care.
so
So
I'm
the
not-
argument here is that a conditional visa is just that. It's conditional. As long as you're not in violation of said conditions, then you should be fine. But the people that reserve the right to revoke that condition revoked it.
I'm not asking about what they agreed to. I'm
Does
not-
this beanie ever come off? What beanie? Nobody's wearing a beanie in this clip.
asking the legal justification.
Don't agree to things you don't wanna adhere to.
Do you, Tim Pool, believe that as a moral issue, as a
Morals are a business expense. I don't have time for that shit. Give me logic or give me death.
practical issue, do you think that America should be a country in which every foreign national in the country should feel that they should never speak about American politics under pain of legal punishment?
No.
You don't think that that's, you don't agree with that?
You presented me an absolute. Right? You gave me the extreme end.
Okay, so Rumesa Öztürk, I think,
nationals-
is a really illustrative example because it was
Foreign
such a
nationals should
mild
understand
version.
that they've made an agreement upon entering this country that if they are in violation of the terms of their visa, it may be revoked. If they come here with the intent of advocating against...
It's an implant. A beanie implant. Yeah, his actual brain is right underneath there. Like Metroid Prime.
against U.S. foreign policy, that is a consequence. Speech has consequences.
We have an argument between a guy that keeps the beanie on during sex and a guy that says sorry when he comes.
I think we're getting hung up on the issue that I've clearly answered, and I understand maybe you don't understand, but
I
we can try
I guess I think I've pinned you down well enough that like you just like really have a much smaller view of free speech than I do, and I think a lot of Americans do.
I don't think what you said means
I
anything.
think it's a change to the American spirit. I think it makes the country smaller. It's a shittier country to live in. Is a country where people live in fear of what they say when they're here on a student.
They always
visa.
have.
Yeah, and that's bad.
So-
it's bad
so-
to live in fear of saying shit.
This is not. You see, this is here's the issue. I suppose
Your whole
memory goes
your
back
whole
3
your whole
years.
bullshit culture baiting thing about the Islam.
All he can say is it's just bad, bro. Let's get back to the culture baiting of Islam, please. Enlighten me, Adam.
The Islam stuff in England. If what you say is true, and it may be, I don't know because I don't really I don't really follow that as
You
as
would
do.
never
But I think
go-
it's bad. About that country.
You would never go to the UK and do those things.
If I were now, look, I don't know of the policies of which you speak, okay? But if I were to be in England and I were to make a joke on their stage and I were to be put into a van and removed from a country, I would say this is a bad thing about England, and I think that the country sucks, and I think that they should change it, and
Hundo P.
and I don't think people should go there anymore, and that sucks for them, and it sucks
Bro,
for us.
you wouldn't make a joke about Islam in the United States.
Tim, you jest too much. I, Adam Conover, I have jester's privilege. Of course I would make a joke about Islam in the U.S.
You wouldn't.
Okay.
He wouldn't. He actually wouldn't, though.
Sure. What's that meant to prove?
You don't actually believe in free speech. You fear the consequences.
Because I don't make a joke about the topic that you demand me to?
Because this topic in
I don't believe in
particular has
free
resulted
speech?
in people like at Charlie Hebdo getting murdered.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's bad. It's
And,
bad
like,
that
That's bad. That's literally bad.
they were murdered.
South Park tried just showing Muhammad, and Comedy Central wouldn't let him do it.
Yeah, that's bad.
So let's see
I
you
don't
stand
agree
up
with
for that
that.
value and come out and make a joke about
I've
Islam.
stood up about free speech plenty of times. What are
said
you talking about?
Take it to the next level, brother.
Okay.
How about we do this?
This is
You believe in free speech?
Dude, this is what you do when you've lost an argument. Is that you just
No,
like
okay,
you
you're
just
not even
jump
arguing
to
anymore.
this. You just
You brought
jump
it
to
up.
this. What? What'd you say?
You brought it up.
What did I? Oh, the Islam piece of it. Yeah. No.
And now I'm continuing the conversation, and you're
Yeah.
derailing into you must have lost the argument.
No, because
Brother,
because
let's stand up for South Park, for Matt Stone and Trey
Yeah,
Parker.
I stand up for them.
So go on stage and show a big picture of Muhammad.
You won't, pussy. No balls.
I'm sorry. What the thing that you're doing?
Stand up for free speech, brother. Do it.
Why can I show a picture of Jesus? That's crazy. But I can't of Muhammad. There's a lesson in there. People can criticize Christianity all day long.
So
I'll do it with
Another slur. They're really letting them fly.
you.
So you're demanding me to go on stage and
Prove
do
you care
something
about free
specific,
speech. Prove
and
you care
unless
about
I
free-
do, I'm a coward.
I'm saying prove you,
This
I didn't say you were a coward.
this is a
I said
bizarre
prove you care about
rhetorical
free
move.
speech.
This is a
I didn't call you-
bizarre rhetorical move.
I didn't call you a coward. I,
Insane levels of soy.
Said, prove you care about free speech.
Yeah, I
Do
prove-
something that creates real risk to your person for free speech.
Yeah, I speak about shit all the time, dude. I'm happy to live in America where the things I say don't create real risk to my person. In fact, if I were to say the things that you're saying, I would not be creating real risk to my person.
You don't think so?
I do not think so.
And why not
100% would.
just do it? Prove me wrong.
Because I don't have anything in particular to say about those topics.
Just put a picture of
friend.
Muhammad up and say, praise me.
It's so simple, dude. Peace be upon him. Just do it.
Prove I'm wrong.
I'm really glad we got here again because it's just very fun to see.
Why won't they get to the root of the problem? It's just deflection, parry, dodge by Adam Conover.
It in how weird this part of the conversation is.
Remember Charlie Hebdo?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, a bunch of people were shot because they.
Put a picture of Muhammad.
Yeah, that's bad.
You think if you did that, they might want to shoot you too?
Yeah, maybe.
So you shouldn't do it.
I mean,
Angry Beanie and Sassy Gopher are on a mad one.
I don't have it. Well, you know, the particular images that they showed, I didn't think were like very funny. Like it
Comedy
was their
Central
right to
wouldn't
do
let
it.
South Park
but-
do it either.
They
censored the whole thing
Yeah,
and
that's
bleeped out
bad.
like
Yeah,
violence.
that's bad, and I think that's contrary to American values.
Why won't the free speech people who believe we should live in this country stand up against that?
I'm sorry. I'm not standing up for free speech.
You know, I find myself, not that I watch Tim Pool, and I'm not neurodivergent, but I will fixate on things, and I think that's natural to some degree, and I get the frustration. When you can find a small hypocrisy and you're just like, why can't you fucking... It's really annoying. At least to me.
Unless I do what exactly?
I didn't say the only way for you to stand up for free speech is to do something. I said, why won't people who are
You
claiming...
called me
to
a
be-
hypocrite, and I don't understand what's hypocritical about me only
What's
doing jokes
hypocritical
about the topics that I'm
is
interested
that you
in.
would not go to the UK and speak in violation of their speech laws.
I mean, I went there. I made fun of their government. I talked about,
allowed.
the fire at Heathrow because that impacted my
have
travel when
hate-
I was
they have hate
there. I
speech
talked
laws.
about, yeah.
You can make fun of white people, but you can't make fun of non-white people.
Ooh. Yeah, you can do that. You definitely can do that. It's crazy.
You go to jail for that.
Okay, yeah, I think that would.
That's bad. That's bad. That's literally bad. Come on, Adam, say it. That's bad.
If it's as you say, that sounds like if it applied to me as a comedian,
I would not-
I think it would say that's a bad law.
I would not go to Turkey and speak out against Islam, and I would not go to the UK and violate their speech laws.
Oh, okay. So
I would want to, but I'm smart.
are you a coward? What's your point?
No, I actually agree with the sovereignty of nations, and if they have laws, I'm not going to violate them.
Oh, I see. I see the point that you're making. Okay, so when things are legal, they're just.
No,
Okay.
That's-
So then what? What is your point?
Your argument is that
This is the funniest thing I've ever watched. Holy shit.
foreigners should come here.
So one of your
face no
values
consequences.
is you should respect the sovereignty of other nations. But again, look,
Yeah, for
this
sure.
this is a
Should we invade
this
China?
this is a recent change in the way that the U.S. prosecutes and selectively enforces the laws that are on the books, and that's what happened to Rumesa Öztürk, and again, that's like a material change in like
I
spirit and
will
values
say-
of America.
Just because I think we spent like an hour on the one subject.
Yeah,
We can
I've been
try
having a great
something else.
time. Yeah.
I agree. It's been fun.
I can't tell if that's real or snark. Because it's fun to watch. Do you think they're actually enjoying themselves? Just farming for content? Or do they hate each other right now? I have a feeling they low-key are seething.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, sure.
In terms, you mentioned that Trump is, it's the makings of authoritarianism and things like that. Do you think that's distinct from any other administration?
Keep going.
Is the authoritarian push from the Trump administration? Obviously, there's going to be procedural distinctions, but I mean, like, Were other administrations not also doing similar authoritarian maneuvers that were a gas?
Yeah, I mean, every single American administration could. I'm sure I could
Was.
find things that that I disagree with. Absolutely.
I think one of the challenges that we have in the United States right now is the people that largely support Trump and voted for him, particularly in his first term and largely carrying over in the second one, non-consecutive, had never voted before. We saw parts of the country that normally don't vote start turning red, start lighting up with new.